The battlefield was silent, except for the occasional hiss of burning metal and the low groans of wounded war beasts. Smoke curled over jagged craters, twisting into gray tendrils that choked the air. Alien soldiers moved methodically, stepping over broken limbs and shattered armor. To them this was not a place of grief, but a clearing of malfunctioning machines. Each war beast was a tool trained to fight without thought, and when one failed, it was discarded. The largest of them all lay sprawled across the ground, its armor cracked, one claw twitching, a low roar echoing in the emptiness. The soldiers whispered to one another in cold tones, calling it a failed unit, a piece of equipment past its usefulness. None paused to touch it. None considered its suffering. A sudden sound made the alien stiffen. Footsteps, soft but purposeful, came over the scorched earth. A human appeared, moving alone across the battlefield. His uniform was simple, a stark contrast to the alien soldier's sleek armor. In his hands he carried only a small medical kit. There were no weapons, no shields, nothing to force the war beast into submission. Some aliens froze, unsure if they should intervene. "Does he not know the risk?" one whispered in disbelief, his voice trembling. "That thing could crush him with a single claw." The human did not answer. He walked steadily toward the injured beast, his eyes calm, scanning its wounds. The beast lifted its head, muscles trembling, and roared again. Its breath was ragged, filled with smoke and pain. The aliens flinched. They had never seen a human approach so fearlessly. Most of their kind would have retreated, drawn weapons, or ignored the creature entirely. This human stepped forward, slow and deliberate, as if he understood something they could not. The human knelt beside the creature. He opened his kit and began examining the deep gashes along its flank. The beast growled, snapping its jaw but did not lash out. Its eyes, glowing faintly in the smoky light, were wide with fear and confusion. The human whispered softly, words so low that only the beast could hear. "I know you're scared. You don't have to fight anymore. I'm here." The air seemed to pause. Alien soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. None of them spoke. Some clenched their claws, unsure if they should attack. Others simply stared, frozen by the impossible scene before them. A human, unarmed, was comforting a creature they had long considered nothing more than a weapon. One soldier, younger than the rest, muttered under his breath, "Why would he even bother? Just a beast. Just a unit." The human ignored the murmurs. He gently pressed a band of fabric to a deep wound, moving with care and precision. The war beast shivered, its enormous body trembling in pain. The soft touch, combined with the calm words, seemed to confuse it. Its claws twitched, but it did not strike. Its eyes followed the human, trying to understand the strange gesture. It had been trained to obey or die, to kill or be killed, and now this small creature of another species was showing it care. Smoke swirled around them, carrying the smell of scorched metal and blood. The battlefield felt like a frozen moment in time, as if the world itself held its breath. The human murmured again, "You don't have to be alone. I'm right here. You won't be left behind." A ripple of doubt passed through the alien soldiers. None of them had ever stopped to consider that a war beast could feel fear, pain, or even gratitude. To them, a failed unit was a failure, period, nothing more. But watching this human, patient and unshaken, many began to question the cold logic they had followed all their lives. Could it be that they had been wrong? That perhaps these creatures were not just weapons to discard, but beings capable of thought and emotion? The largest war beast made a small movement, lifting one massive claw slightly as if testing the human's intentions. The human did not flinch. He continued his work, keeping his voice low and steady. "I know this is hard. You've done enough fighting. Let me help you rest." A sharp hiss sounded from one of the alien soldiers, a warning to stay back. The human glanced up but did not move away. His eyes held something unfamiliar to the aliens, understanding without fear. The creature beneath him shivered again, and a low rumble of what might have been relief escaped its throat. The smoke thickened, sunlight cutting weakly through the haze, casting long shadows across the broken battlefield. The human adjusted his position, working to stabilize the beast. Every touch was deliberate, every word measured. The alien soldiers could not look away. They had trained for battle, for efficiency, for logic, but none had prepared for this, compassion in the midst of war. The war beast made another small movement, turning its massive head slightly toward the human. Its eyes flickered with something the aliens had never imagined, fear, yes, but also recognition. A momentary connection passed between them, fragile yet undeniable. The human's hand rested lightly on the beast's shoulder, steadying it, offering a calm that contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding them. The youngest alien soldier whispered, barely audible, I think it understands him. The human nodded, almost imperceptibly as if acknowledging a truth only he could see. Around them, the battlefield seemed to hold its breath, caught between destruction and the quiet, unexpected presence of empathy. The human remained kneeling beside the war beast, his hands steady despite the creature's massive trembling. Its eyes darted nervously, muscles twitching with the memory of battles fought and lives taken, yet something in the medic's calm presence kept it from striking. Alien soldiers watched in tense silence, their sensors tracking every subtle movement. Many whispered among themselves, voices low, disbelieving. It shouldn't be alive, one muttered. Another hissed, why does he care? It's just a tool, a failed tool. The human ignored their murmurs. He spoke softly, almost a song in the heavy smoke-filled air. You've carried so much pain, he said. You don't need to carry it alone anymore. His fingers traced the edges of a deep gash along the beast's flank, moving slowly, carefully, as if he were handling glass rather than armored flesh. The creature's massive shoulders trembled beneath his touch, but it did not lash out. Its eyes, dark and wide, flickered between confusion and recognition. It was learning in an instant that not all beings sought only utility and dominance. One of the alien soldiers, a tall figure with elongated limbs, took a cautious step forward, claws curling nervously. Stop this, it hissed, voice trembling. It is a unit meant for war, not comfort. You are wasting your life, human. The human glanced up, eyes calm, unwavering. I'm not wasting it. I am saving it, he replied, voice firm but gentle. There was no fear, no hesitation. Only certainty. The soldier recoiled, a mix of anger and confusion flashing across its face. None had ever spoken this way to a human, let alone while witnessing such a fragile interaction between man and beast. The war beast moved slightly, its massive head tilting toward the human. A low rumble escaped its throat, not a roar, not a threat, but a sound of hesitation, uncertainty, and something more, curiosity. It had been trained to fight, to obey, and to die on command. It had never been treated with gentleness, never been spoken to as a being rather than a weapon. And now, under the medic's steady hands and soothing voice, it began to understand that its pain did not go unnoticed. You're safe, the human said, adjusting a makeshift splint along a broken limb. I'm here. I won't let them hurt you anymore. His words were simple, yet in them lay a power that none of the aliens could comprehend. Compassion was unfamiliar here, it was a foreign language. And the beast, though massive and terrifying, responded. Its eyes softened, blinking slowly, muscles easing slightly as trust began to take root. One young alien, barely seasoned in battle, tilted its head, whispering to a companion, Why is he helping it? It should be dead already. No one cares. Humans, they are different, the companion said, voice tight with uncertainty. I don't understand them, and I don't like it. Smoke drifted over the battlefield, carrying the scent of blood, fire, and metal. Shadows stretched long, dancing across craters and shattered armor. The human worked steadily, every movement deliberate, every word a thread of calm in a storm of destruction. The war beast shivered but did not lash out. Its great tail twitched, scraping the ground as though testing the medic's patience, testing whether this small being could truly be trusted. You've done what you were told over and over, the human murmured. You've fought, you've obeyed, you've carried their wars. Now you can rest. You don't have to carry it alone anymore. A sudden growl rose from the beast, deeper and more resonant than before. Alien soldiers stiffened. Some raised weapons instinctively, preparing for an attack. But the human remained still, calm, almost invisible in his focus. The growl subsided as quickly as it came, replaced by a subtle shift, a slow, almost imperceptible movement of the head toward the human, a tentative acceptance. The young alien who had spoken before swallowed nervously. It's reacting, it stammered. It's aware. I think it recognizes him. The human's gaze met the creature's, unflinching, unwavering. I know it's hard, he said quietly. I know they trained you to believe you are just a weapon. But you are more. You are alive. You feel. And I see you. For a moment, the battlefield seemed suspended. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Alien soldiers, trained to see logic, efficiency, and obedience, struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. Here was a human, unarmed, facing a creature they had long considered a disposable instrument of war, treating it with dignity, patience, and understanding. And the beast, massive and fearsome, responded, not with aggression but with recognition, with the beginning of trust. The human pressed a clean cloth to a torn shoulder, his hands steady even as the creature shivered beneath him. "You don't have to fight," he repeated softly. "Not today. Not ever if you don't want to." A distant hiss sounded, a warning from an alien approaching too close, but the human ignored it. The war beast twitched, then slowly, almost painfully, lowered its massive body slightly, letting the medic continue his work. Around them, the smoke swirled, shadows danced, and the battlefield, once a place of death and indifference, seemed to pause, caught in the fragile miracle of understanding between two very different species. The war beast's breathing slowed, but only slightly, as if it were testing the human's patience. Its eyes, once wide with panic and confusion, began to soften. A low rumble escaped its throat, not threatening, not aggressive, but uncertain, almost curious. The human's hands worked carefully, applying a bandage to a jagged gash that ran along the beast's shoulder. "I know it hurts," he murmured. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." The words were simple, but to the alien soldiers watching, they were incomprehensible. Nothing in their experience had prepared them for a human who spoke to a creature they considered a mere tool with such calm conviction. One alien stepped closer, its claws twitching nervously. "It will never understand you," it hissed. "It cannot. It is programmed for war. You risk everything for nothing." The human looked up briefly, meeting the alien's gaze with steady eyes. "It is already more than what you trained it to be. It can feel. It can know fear and trust. I see it." His voice was firm, carrying a quiet authority that made the alien hesitate. The beast shifted its weight slightly, a massive movement that sent small tremors through the cracked ground. It sniffed the air around the human, then turned its head, blinking slowly. Its eyes held something unfamiliar, something no alien had ever expected: recognition. Recognition, yes, but also a glimmer of understanding. Its body, scarred and bruised from countless battles, quivered, but it did not strike. It allowed the human's hands to continue tending to its wounds. Smoke hung heavy in the air, and the smell of charred metal filled every breath. The human adjusted his position, leaning closer, his voice soft but deliberate. "You fought endlessly. You've obeyed without question. You've been told you are just a weapon. But I know you are more than that. You are alive." The beast emitted a low growl, not of aggression but of comprehension. Its massive shoulders eased slightly, muscles unclenching as if the words themselves had begun to ease its pain. A younger alien whispered to its companion, barely audible over the sounds of the battlefield. Do you see that? It is responding to him, it is aware." The other alien's eyes narrowed, a mixture of disbelief and unease in their gaze. "No unit has ever done that." "How?" The human placed his hand on the beast's massive head, careful not to make sudden movements. "I know you've been hurt in ways no one should ever be hurt. You've been trained to obey, trained to fight, trained to die. But I promise you I will not harm you. I will not leave you alone." The beast's eyes softened further, glowing faintly in the smoky light. Its massive jaw relaxed and it lowered its head slightly, a gesture that could almost be called trust. One of the alien soldiers let out a hiss of frustration, unable to comprehend what was happening. "It is impossible," it said. "It cannot feel, it cannot respond like this. You are deceiving yourself, human." The medic ignored the words, focused entirely on the beast. Every careful touch, every soft murmur seemed to deepen the connection between them. The creature trembled, not in fear of the human, but as if learning something new about its own existence. The young alien took a cautious step closer. It moves differently. Its eyes, it faltered, unsure how to describe what it saw. The other aliens exchanged tense glances. For the first time, doubt crept into their disciplined minds. Could it be that the humans were right? Could this massive war machine, this instrument of battle, be something more than a tool? The human adjusted the bandage, working steadily, and spoke again, his voice low and even. "You've always been told you have no choice. That you are a weapon, nothing more. But you are alive. You feel. You understand pain and fear and trust. I see you. I will not let you suffer alone." The war beast emitted a deep, low rumble, almost a sound of relief. It shifted closer, leaning slightly into the human's presence. Its massive body, once tense and threatening, relaxed in subtle, imperceptible ways. Smoke swirled around them, sunlight filtering through in faint, fractured beams. The battlefield, so long a place of destruction, seemed suspended as if holding its breath. Alien soldiers, trained to see only weapons and efficiency, watched a miracle unfold before them. One of the older soldiers muttered, voice tight with disbelief, I have never seen such patience. Such understanding. The human continued, speaking softly, his hands steady. I know you are scared. You've done what you were told, obeyed what you were forced to obey. But now you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to be alone. The beast blinked slowly, eyes dark and wide. Its massive shoulders eased further, its tail stopped twitching nervously, and a small, almost imperceptible gesture of acceptance passed between them. It was not full trust, not yet, but it was enough. A young alien whispered again, barely audible. Humans, they are not like us. They do not see machines. They see lives. And that terrifies me. The older alien nodded grimly, eyes never leaving the scene. Around them, the battlefield remained chaotic, broken, and dangerous, but a fragile bond had formed between a human and a war beast, one that could not be measured by weapons, orders, or efficiency. The beast's eyes lingered on the human, dark and intelligent, filled with a dawning understanding. The human's hand rested lightly on its massive shoulder, steady, gentle, unwavering. For the first time in its existence, the war beast realized that someone could care for it without fear or judgment. The alien soldiers could not comprehend it. They had never been trained to feel it. But the human did, and in that moment the balance of power, understanding, and empathy shifted. A sharp, mechanical whine echoed across the battlefield, cutting through the smoke like a blade. Alien reinforcements arrived, their armor glinting in the fractured sunlight, weapons raised, ready to finish what they assumed was a failed unit. The soldiers' eyes flicked toward the human kneeling beside the war beast, confusion and irritation flickering across their faces. One barked a command, claws tapping on metal plating. Step aside. That unit is marked for decommission. Remove it immediately. The human did not flinch. He stayed close to the beast, hands still on its massive shoulders, eyes calm but alert. I will not leave it, he said quietly, voice steady over the rumble of approaching reinforcements. It deserves more than you are willing to give. The words seemed to hang in the thick air, almost daring the aliens to challenge them. One of the new soldiers hesitated, sensing something unusual. It is dangerous. Could turn on you. Retreat, human. But the human only shook his head, adjusting a torn piece of armor along the beast's flank. I am not afraid, he replied. And it is not a weapon to be feared, it is a life to be protected. The beast let out a low, cautious growl, as if understanding the human's defiance. Its massive head tilted slightly, eyes scanning the newcomers, then returning to the human. The subtle trust they had built did not falter, even as the threat grew. The human murmured, I know they see you as a tool. I know they've trained you to obey or die. But you can choose now. You can choose peace. The alien commander of the reinforcements stepped forward, voice sharp and authoritative. This is unacceptable. You interfere with protocol. That creature is a weapon. It exists to fight. You risk all by sheltering it. His eyes narrowed, scanning the human with suspicion. Do you not understand the consequences? I understand consequences, the human said, standing slightly to meet the commander's gaze, still unarmed, still calm. But I also understand life. You see a machine. I see a being who can feel pain, fear, and hope. That makes us different. And that makes us allies worth more than you can measure in weapons or armor. A tense silence fell over the battlefield. The reinforcements' weapons were still raised, but doubt had begun to creep into their minds. None had been trained to question a human's logic, let alone their compassion. One soldier muttered to another, Why would they care? It's only a weapon. The human crouched again, hands gentle on the beast's massive limbs. You have fought endlessly for those who see you as nothing more than a tool. You have followed orders without question. Now you do not have to. I will help you survive. I will help you feel safe for the first time. The beast's great body shifted subtly, leaning closer, allowing itself to relax just enough to show that it trusted him, even in the presence of armed aliens. A sharp hiss came from the youngest of the reinforcements. It's listening to him. How is this possible? The commander's eyes flicked to the beast. For the first time he saw the subtle changes. The slow blinking, the muscles easing, the dark, intelligent eyes that followed every gesture of the human. He swallowed hard, uncertainty gnawing at him. It reacts differently than expected. This is unprecedented. The human spoke again, his voice low but unwavering. You trained it to kill and obey. You forgot to see it as a life. I see it. I will not abandon it. Not now, not ever. The beast's massive head lowered and a deep, almost mournful rumble came from its throat. It shifted closer, pressing gently against the human's side, offering a silent gesture of alliance. An alien soldier stepped forward, claws shaking. You defy us all, for a creature we consider disposable? The human's gaze did not waver. Because it is not disposable. It is sentient. Feels. And I will not let that go unseen. His words echoed across the battlefield, stronger than any weapon, stronger than any command. The commander's jaw tightened. He gestured for his soldiers to hold fire, though none fully trusted the decision. I do not understand it, he admitted, voice tight. How can a human face such danger for what we consider nothing more than a tool? The human glanced down at the war beast, gently checking a wound. Because life is not measured by how much damage you can cause, he said softly. It is measured by what you protect, by what you care for. That is what makes us terrifying allies, and perhaps the most dangerous force you have ever faced. The beast rumbled again, low and steady. It shifted its massive body slightly, leaning into the human's care, showing the alien something they had never considered. Loyalty born not from fear, not from programming, but from trust and understanding. For the first time, the battlefield seemed still, as if holding its breath, watching the human and the beast form a bond that no weapon, no command, no protocol could break. Smoke swirled thickly, the sound of distant explosions muted by the moment's intensity. Alien soldiers shifted uneasily, questioning everything they had been taught. The human's calm defiance, the beast's awakening recognition, and the silent courage radiating from them both were rewriting the rules of war. The commander's eyes lingered on the scene, a mixture of fear and grudging respect. For the first time he saw that humans did not measure power the way aliens did, they measured it in life itself. The battlefield was quiet now, save for the soft hiss of burning metal and the distant echoes of collapsing structures. Smoke hung thick in the air, curling around jagged craters, carrying the acrid scent of scorched earth. The war beast lay low, breathing unevenly, every exhale a tremor that rattled the ground. Its massive form, once a weapon of destruction, now seemed fragile under the human's careful hands. The medic worked steadily, moving slowly to avoid pain, speaking softly as he adjusted bandages and splints. Almost there, he whispered. Stay with me. You're not alone. The beast shifted slightly, massive claws scraping the cracked ground. Its eyes, dark and intelligent, met the human's gaze. In them there was fear, yes, but also something new, trust, recognition, and understanding. It let out a low, almost mournful rumble, leaning gently against the human's side. The alien soldiers stood in tense silence, watching a bond they could neither comprehend nor anticipate. The youngest among them murmured, It's choosing him. It knows he is trying to help, not harm. A distant rumble signaled approaching danger, more alien reinforcements moving closer, unaware of the fragile truce forming on the battlefield. The human glanced toward them, then back at the beast. You don't have to fight, he said softly. Not today. Not ever if you don't want to. I am here. I will not let anything happen to you. The beast's great head lowered further, resting near the human's shoulder. For a moment, it seemed to hesitate, torn between instinct and the unfamiliar feeling of being cared for. Then, in a gesture so subtle yet powerful, it extended a massive claw and brushed it against the human's hand. The simple contact carried a weight far beyond size or strength. It was gratitude, recognition, and the silent promise of trust. The alien commander stepped forward, voice tense and cautious. It is alive in a way we never understood. How can one human evoke such response from a machine built for war? His eyes lingered on the scene, unsettled. Around him, soldiers shifted uneasily, their training faltering under the evidence of something they could not measure, empathy. The human smiled faintly, ignoring the question. Life cannot be measured by how much destruction it can cause, he said softly. It is measured by what you protect, by the care you show, by the moments you give someone peace. That is strength. A sudden tremor shook the ground. The beast's body quivered violently, a warning that its wounds were worse than they appeared. The human reacted instantly, pressing a hand to its chest, murmuring reassurances, guiding its movements. Stay calm, he said. Breathe. I will not let you fall alone. The beast shivered again, and in that moment, it made a choice. Its massive form moved, not to strike or flee, but to shield the human from the distant approaching fire. Sparks and debris rained down, but the creature's bulk absorbed the danger. It growled low and long, a sound of defiance and protection, every muscle tensed in one final act of loyalty. The human braced against the ground, hands steady on the beast, whispering, It's okay. I've got you. You're safe. Alien soldiers gasped, some recoiling at the sheer size and force of the creature acting to defend a single human. It was untrained, uncommanded, yet instinctively protective. It understands him, one whispered, voice trembling. It chose to save him, over itself. Time seemed to slow. The beast's breaths came in ragged bursts, each one heavier than the last. The human's hands were firm, steady, and calm, offering warmth and reassurance. "You've done enough fighting," he said softly. "You can rest now. You can leave the pain behind." The war beast made one final movement, a slow, deliberate gesture. Its massive claw covered the human's hand, holding it tightly, a silent connection passing between them. Then with a shuddering exhale it collapsed. Its eyes, once wild and full of fear, closed softly, and a deep, quiet peace settled over its body. The human remained beside it, pressing a hand gently to its chest, whispering words of comfort. "You are not alone. You are seen. You are valued. Rest now." Around them, alien soldiers watched in stunned silence. The battlefield had shifted, not through weapons, strategy, or numbers, but through quiet courage, compassion, and the bond between two beings who saw each other as more than tools of war. The alien commander finally spoke, voice low and measured. "Humans do not see weapons. They see lives. That is what makes them terrifying allies." His eyes lingered on the human and the fallen beast, understanding dawning in a way that no training could instill. Around him, soldiers nodded slowly, awe and disbelief mixing with a new respect, knowing that something profound had occurred, something that would reshape their understanding of war, loyalty, and life itself. The human rose slowly, standing over the massive form of the beast. He adjusted the bandages one last time and whispered, "You are remembered. You are honored." Then, without fanfare, he turned and began walking back through the smoke and ruin, leaving a battlefield forever changed, not by firepower but by empathy, courage, and the quiet, impossible choice to see life where others saw only machines.